Seeds become flowers via assisted suicide. So if you clicked on this video because of the bizarre thumbnail and title, then you must have realized that by now I'm not talking about plants, clearly. So what I want to get into is how do you achieve your goals? How do you achieve the success that you want? How do you become the person you want to be? And this is something that the internet is obsessed with, this kind of concept of self-actualization and reaching your true potential, but most people don't actually know how to do that. Now, if you're new here, my name is Rami Abdullah. I run Easy Acquisition and SMMA, where we help coaches and consultants get 23 high-ticket clients via a organic content system. And part of the reason why I'm so confident in our systems is because of what we're about to discuss in this video, and it's the idea of self-suicide, really. So about a year ago, I decided to get back into copywriting. It took me about another year to realize the potential that copywriting had. And because of that, I was very fond of the input-output kind of systems that make copywriters so successful. But a few months into my journey, I started to have doubts. You know, I was making a couple thousand here and there with random clients. And I was wondering why I, of all people, am not making the money that I want to make with this business model. And it comes down to a very simple thing. And the idea is that if a person wants to achieve their life goals, then that person can achieve it. And I'll elaborate on that. The goals that you set are not going to be able to be reached by who you are now. They're not going to be able to be reached by you. You have to constantly kill yourself. You have to constantly self-destruct and rebuild yourself to become the person who can achieve those goals. Because those goals are not a product of how hard you work. For say, those goals are not a product of how much effort you're putting in. It's a product of you aligning yourself with the person who's able to achieve those goals, right? The way it's done is very simple. We all have oscillations or frequencies or something. And to elaborate, these cycles are a cycle of the lower self and the higher self. The higher self is a person you want to be all the time. You wake up on time, you don't sleep in, you're eating the right food, you're at the gym every day. That's the higher self. You're not lazy with your work. You sit down and you concentrate and you don't get up and you completely you're the locked in state. And the lower self is that person who we all don't like to see come out. When we start to slip on our disciplines, some of our values start to get shaky. Perhaps you fall back into a bad habit that you really, really wanted to give up. That is all the cause of the lower self. Now, the lower self is who you are really. That is your baseline. The higher self is nice, it's nice to have, it's who you want to be, but the lower self is who you are. And the idea of reaching your goals as your lower self, it doesn't even dawn upon you, because by default you know that this lower self is not going to be able to achieve those goals. This lower self isn't locked in, but that is who you are. So you have to slowly move that lower self up to that higher self state, and then move the bar of the higher self and keep climbing until you get to that ultimate goal that you're really trying to achieve. And this is the idea of self-destruction, self-suicide, and all these very fancy terms. So how is this applicable in reality? How can we really, really become that lower, higher self that we all want to be, who's in alignment with our life goals and our life missions? Well, it's simple, really. There's a concept out there that most of life is pain, that life is defined by pain. And if you take a minute to think about all the good things that happened in your life, it will probably take you longer to think about the good things than it would the bad things. We never remember our good dreams, but we almost always remember our nightmares. We never think about our pivotal life-changing moments, but we do think about those pivotal life-changing traumas. Life is all pain. But in pain, we begin to develop. The pain is what develops us. So to get to that higher self that we're all trying to achieve, you have to put yourself through pain. You have to walk on nails. You have to sit on hot coals. You have to do the work that you know you have to do, but you are trying your best to put it out of mind, and you're hoping that all the other kind of minor tasks that you are delegating your time towards will help you achieve those goals, that higher state. It's not going to happen. The only way that you can move that lower self bar up, the only way you can start to close the gap on your oscillations is by putting yourself through pain every day consistently. And the concept is called resistance. It's very simple. Resistance is the product of your lower self putting up defense systems so that your lower self doesn't self-destruct. Now, you probably thought that self-destruction would be easy, that all you have to do is mumble a few mantras every day, and voila, you're the kind of person that you always wanted to be, and you wake up the next day locked in like Andrew Tate. No, the lower self will fight, it'll kick, it'll scratch, it will bite, it'll suck your blood, it'll do whatever it can to survive. And so it's incumbent upon you to put your lower self through as much trial as possible so that the lower self builds a tolerance to pain. And the more pain your lower self is able to tolerate, the easier it is for your gaps to close. The more pain you tolerate, the easier it is for those gaps to close. And once you get to that prophesized higher state that you really wanted to be at, you just have to keep move the bar, and you increase the threshold of pain. And that's how it's done. Let's recap here. You're not going to be able to achieve your goals. The person you are now will not be able to achieve your goals. Goals are a byproduct of becoming in alignment with the person who's able to achieve them. So how do we become in alignment? We have to first know who our lower self is. And we have to see who our professed higher self is. And we have to increase the pain threshold until we get to that higher self state. And then we raise the bar and we increase the pain threshold. And it's just like that. Now, it's easier said than done. Everybody wants to think that they can tolerate pain, but pain is by definition intolerable. It is a survival mechanism. And I'm not even just talking about physical pain, I'm talking about mental pain too. It's a survival mechanism. If physical pain is a survival mechanism for your body, then mental pain is a survival mechanism for your lower self. So you have to come to terms with the fact that it's going to hurt really, really badly. You have to see past the lower self's ability to hold you back and to put up its defense mechanisms to avoid as much pain as possible, and you have to just walk through the fire. And if you can do that, then you will finally become in alignment with the person who you want to be. You will become the person who can achieve your goals. And this doesn't just apply in business. It applies in fitness, it applies in disciplines, it applies in even the things that you want to learn. All these things, you have to do this exact process. There's a saying that habits are linearly applicable. And I would rather like to add to that thought that knowledge is linearly applicable as well. That one basic concept can be applied everywhere. So if you do this, you'll start to become the person who can. So do yourself a favor, journal who you are right now, journal your cons, journal your pros, and then write about who you want to be. And every single day, increase that pain threshold, and you will get to where you want to go. This has been Rami, founder of Easy Acquisition. If you're a coach or a consultant, or you sell info products, and you're interested in how you can get 18 to 23 high-ticket clients in 180 days on a pay-on-results basis, then there's a link in the description how you can do just that. Stay hard. Peace.